Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping straight into some source material that I think offers a really neat, kind of simple but quite powerful way to diagnose something critical. It's all about risk management and, how it's actually landing in projects and organizations.
Exactly. Yeah, we've got this briefing note here. It's from 2005 by Dr. David Hilson.
Okay.
And it's called Risk Management, Important or Effective, or Both. And it came out of some research he did, trying to get beyond just the talk,
Right, beyond the buzzwords.
Yeah, to see how organizations really perceive its value, its function day to day.
And the core question he was digging into seems, well, almost obvious, but the results aren't. It's basically, do people think risk management is important? And separately, do they actually find it effective? Are those the same thing?
Well, that's the crux of it, isn't it? So the research asked two very direct questions. First one, how important is risk management to project success? And people could answer on a scale, from extremely important right down to not important at all.
Makes sense. And the second question?
Mirrored the first, really, but focused on the payoff. How effective is risk management on your projects? Same kind of scale, extremely effective, down to just plain ineffective.
Got it. So you get data on perceived importance and data on perceived effectiveness.
Yeah, and collecting those answers individually is, useful context. But the really fascinating bit, the thing Hilson highlights in this paper, is what happens when you start to look at how those two answers relate to each other, the correlation.
Ah, right. This is where the simple idea gets quite revealing. So the paper basically simplifies things, takes all those scale answers.
Exactly. Boils them down for each question into just sort of two camps.
Yeah.
A generally positive view, so they think it's important, or they think it's effective.
Or negative, not important, not effective.
Right. Positive or negative on importance, positive or negative on effectiveness.
And if you put those two simple dimensions together, importance and effectiveness,
you get a straightforward 2x2 grid, 4 possible combinations representing how an organization might be experiencing risk management.
Okay, let's map that out. So you could have important and effective. That sounds good.
Yep, the ideal state, maybe.
Then important, but not effective.
A very common scenario, as we'll see.
Then not important and not effective, sort of double negative.
Right. And the fourth theoretical box
would be not important, but somehow effective.
Yeah, and Hilson pretty quickly says, look, that fourth one, you don't really see that in practice.
Why not? It seems logical you wouldn't.
Well, think about it. If an organization genuinely doesn't believe risk management is important, why would they invest? Why put in the resources, the time, the focus needed to actually make it effective?
Yeah, okay, that tracks. It's like saying, I don't think training is important, but wow, my marathon time is amazing. It doesn't add up without the effort.
Exactly. You don't stumble into effective risk management if you don't value it. So realistically, that box is empty.
Okay, so we're down to 3 real-world possibilities. Important and effective. Important, but not effective. Not important and not effective.
Precisely. And the really useful insight here is how these 3 scenarios pretty much map directly onto different levels of sort of organizational maturity when it comes to risk.
Ah, so it's not just a description, it's diagnostic. Tells you where you are on the journey.
Yes. And crucially, suggests what kind of approach you need to take if you want to, get better. They're not just abstract categories.
Okay, this is getting interesting. Let's unpack these 3 profiles then. What does the first one look like, important and effective?
Well, these are the organizations, according to the paper, that are basically getting it right. They see the value, they invest properly, the processes work.
And they see results.
And they see tangible results, yeah. Fewer nasty surprises, better decisions, projects are more predictable. Hilson suggests these guys are the natural champions.
The champions.
They can act as internal advocates, share their success stories, show others how it can be done effectively. They're the living proof.
Got it. The poster child for risk management. And so what about that next group? The one I suspect is quite common. They believe it's important, but if they're honest, it's just not very effective.
Yeah, this is a really interesting and often frustrating place for an organization to be. You've got the buy-in, right? People agree this should be valuable.
The intention is there.
The intention's there, but the execution, it's lacking. It feels like effort goes in, but the results aren't really materializing. You're kind of spinning your wheels.
So what does the paper say is the fix for that group?
Well, the path forward here is pretty clear. It needs a dedicated improvement initiative.
Okay, improvement focused on what, specifically? Just do it better.
More specific than that. It's about building capability, increasing maturity. Hilson's work points towards focusing on what are often called critical success factors, or CSFs.
CSFs, so
Yeah.
the fundamentals.
Exactly. The nuts and bolts you absolutely must have for risk management to actually work properly. Things like having a genuine risk-aware culture, not just ticking boxes.
Right.
Having clear, efficient processes that people actually use, making sure people have the right skills and training, and crucially, applying it consistently, not just on pet projects.
So address those core building blocks.
Yeah, address those, and you can start to turn that belief in importance into actual measurable effectiveness.
Okay, so they know the why, they just need help with the how by shoring up the foundations. That makes sense. Which brings us to the third group.
The ones where risk management is seen as neither important nor effective.
Yeah, this sounds like the toughest spot to be in.
It probably is the most challenging starting point. If the belief isn't there, if people don't think it's important.
They're almost certainly not doing it, or not doing it properly.
Right, so inevitably it's not effective. The paper basically labels these as risk-immature organizations. There's just a fundamental lack of awareness, maybe even resistance to the whole idea.
And the plan for them must be totally different again. You can't just launch an improvement initiative if no one cares.
Absolutely not. You're not ready for that yet. The paper argues the first step here is fundamentally about persuasion and education.
Interesting. So not process change, but mind change.
Primarily, yes. Someone or some group needs to actually make the case internally. Explain why risk management matters in their specific context, how it can help solve the problems they actually care about.
And who does that? Management consultants.
It often falls, according to the paper, to people described as convinced insiders, internal champions.
Ah, people on the inside who get it.
Exactly. People who understand the organization's culture and challenges and can translate the maybe abstract benefits of risk management into tangible business value that resonates there.
So you're not fixing the process first, you're building the belief. You have to sell the why before you can even think about the how.
Precisely. It's about laying the groundwork, creating the demand before you can build the capability.
Wow. So this simple 2x2 grid, importance versus effectiveness, it really does give you a clear map, doesn't it?
It does. It asks, are you actually getting the benefits? Is it effective? And, just as crucially, do people across the board believe this stuff matters? Is it seen as important?
And depending on the answers.
Well,
Yes, you know, the action needed is fundamentally different.
Totally different. Are you fine-tuning an already working system? Are you building core capabilities because the will is there but the skill isn't?
Right.
Or are you starting right back at advocating for the basic value proposition?
Yeah. What this really drives home, I think, is that getting those genuine, significant benefits from risk management, it's not just about having some procedures written down somewhere.
Not at all.
It absolutely requires both things. You need that widespread recognition importance at all levels, and you need it to actually work consistently and effectively in practice.
You need both sides of the coin, as you said earlier.
Yeah.
It's a really good reminder that just wanting it to work or believing it's important isn't enough on its own. Effectiveness needs deliberate focus on the right things.
So let's bring this back to you, listening right now. How can you use this framework?
Well, think about your own world. Your organization, maybe specific projects you're involved in, your team. This simple lens, just asking, is it seen as important? And is it actually effective? Can be a really powerful diagnostic tool.
Where do you actually sit? Are you lucky enough to be in a place where it's valued and working well? The champion zone.
Or are you maybe in that perhaps more common space where everyone nods and says, oh, yes, risk management is important, but honestly, you feel like you're just going through the motions, not really seeing the benefit?
The important but not effective trap.
Yeah. Or maybe is it the third scenario? Is risk management, frankly, just not really on the radar, not seen as a priority, and therefore absolutely not effective?
It forces you to look past just, having the risk register or holding the meetings and ask about the underlying perception and the actual results. Is it truly delivering value in your context?
So yeah, that's the takeaway thought, really. Considering what we've unpacked from Hilson's work, where do you think your organization or your projects currently fall? Important, effective, both, neither.
And then, based on that honest assessment, what does this framework suggest might be the single most critical next step for you?
Is it about driving an improvement initiative, really focusing on those critical success factors, the nuts and bolts?
Is the first job actually finding those internal champions, those convinced insiders, to start educating and persuading people about the fundamental benefits, building that foundation of importance first.
Think about how this simple but quite insightful diagnostic applies directly, right where you are.